so here I am set up and ready to play 1955. I wanted to point out we got this little reference cards. Each player has one of these for the different influence actions and the blocking rules. Basically, you almost don't need the rule book at all. There is a compendium of all the special action cards up in here though, so it could be helpful for that. And of course it's nice to be able to read the rules once at least. For the most part though, you probably don't need them once you read them. I'm going to deal out 5 cards to each player. Rather slowly, I guess. This is the kind of thing one shouldn't do on video, but I had neglected it. And I'm going to look at the top player, what he's got. Now, I look at the cards, and this is where I'm deciding, hey, what country do I want to be? I'll swing things else. Well, no, I don't have to. So I have a bunch of cards. Now, here's the first problem. I do not see any reason in the game, if you're trying to win, to not choose the USSR and the USA. I mean, I don't care what your cards are. You could have a huge collection that helps you with one country or another. Why would that make you not want to be the USA or USSR? Now, you might have a big pile of cards that allows you to play for the USA or USSR, and that might be your reason for going that way. But, so in particular, if I had all kind of US cards, I could start my country as something else. Say, I want to be the UK, or I want to be the USSR, even better, you know? And then I could see where that might be worthwhile, but you could always pick the other player, the country that you don't have the cards for, with the hope of blocking, of playing for the one that you can't be. It's a strange situation because you get these extra spaces to protect your country. These countries are very short. They're easier for the other person to win off of. So this guy's got a pile of cards, none of which really combine nicely. You see about starting setup. I'm just curious about where your spy goes. It has to be the country that you chose. So your spy starts off in your opening country, which puts you in a position where you can't immediately play a big combo hand. So what do I got here? I'm going to go with the US as this player. And I'll leave his cards face up just because it's going to be easier to play with face up cards, I think. At least while I have the camera on. And this guy, well, he must take a red player. For the reasons that I argued, I'm going to go with the USSR. Yes, I have a card for the USSR, but that's okay. And that's going to shift these markers in the direction that they go. Now this guy went first, so he's going to get one card play. Now that card play is allowed to be, if you recall, the country of the card or where the spy is. Well, or my home country. Well, there's no real bonus to playing a US card anywhere. Let's take a look at some of my special actions here. Advance up to 2 unsecured control markers, 1 space each. That's kind of a neat thing to do. And it can counter. Okay, so some of these cards have an opponent's turn action in them. I didn't mention that. That was one thing that always surprises me the most. I guess you just play them as counter. You can play them whenever you like during the other player's turn that the conditions are satisfied. Discard your hand, refill it. That doesn't sound too exciting. I have these mercenaries. They're not terribly valuable on defense. I have a French card. That's not going to get me bonus points, but I can play a lot of points in France, or I can play some good points in Britain instead. 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not going to get me a win in France. I'm going to play all these cards, a 4-point hand in Britain, and just throw it into play. At this point, I get to draw a new hand of cards. I get another one of these coordinated attacks. I have, what is this? Hungary, military transport. I'm allowed to move my spy. I can do this either during my or another player's turn, and it's kind of as an interrupt. If I don't use it for the card value, it's fine. I can freeze the opponent's spy. That's a useful card. I might have wanted to play that on my first turn instead, but I wanted to get some more points in my hand. So where does my spy want to go? Well, I don't need him in the US. I'm not going to get a combine that's terribly valuable anywhere. Unfortunately, I don't have quite enough points. I could combine these two cards to play in Britain, and that would get me to here. I would have needed another point, and I can't combine a non-mercenary with that. So the idea of attacking Britain doesn't sound terribly valuable. I'll go into France because I get an extra point there on my card. Okay, now this guy's going to get 2 card plays, and his cards, supply drop, he gets additional cards in his hand at the end of his turn. That'll really power him up next turn. That's very valuable. Deport, I get to flush the opponent's spy. I have no real reason to knock him out of where he is. I have this coordinated attack. That's kind of cool. I can advance 2 markers of space each. That's not tremendously powerful. And then I have a good rich hand of mercenaries, which I like. I like this card because it gives me piles and piles of cards for next turn. So, I have the right sequence of play here. Just making sure that I move my spy after I see my cards, because otherwise I would have still been in France. That's where I would have chosen. Yeah, you move your spy after refilling. What do I want to do? Well, my spy is in Russia. I'm going to throw my deport card and these. That doesn't really help me. I was thinking, well, with my spy in Russia, I could get 4 points for this, but I want to use these suckers, and that's kind of my problem. I could just go for a full hit on the US here. Why don't we do that? We'll put a threat on the US there. I'm going to play 4 pips in the US. I'm not using the coordinated attack for its special ability. I'm just doing this. There's a problem with that. I can be blocked if I do that. He can throw his cards. If he throws 4 points of cards, he probably has that. It's not a big enough amount. You need a real powerful hand to challenge someone flat out. What else? I'm going to have a bunch of cards next turn. Those mercenaries will help. I'm going to play this for a coordinated attack, and we'll counter that. Then I'm going to play my supply drop, which will give me 3 extra cards. So now, I get 2 more cards. That's going to give me a bonus in France. I may want to move to France to challenge him directly there, because I'll have a decent amount of points to cancel out whatever he's doing in France. I have this card, which I can use. It doesn't count as a card play. It can slip me out of France if I need to. So that sounds good. And now I get 3 more bonus cards from the supply drop. And we got a bunch of interesting stuff. Coordinated attack. All right. So now over here with the US, he only has 4 cards to play his hand with. By being able to degrade his hand, I've weakened his ability to do anything. So he's less likely, of course he didn't want to let my card go, but he's less likely to be able to get something through here. However, I do know that there's a very powerful number of cards sitting in France right now there. So I may want to do this anyway in some way. Or I may want to flee. Where could I flee though? That's the question. And what things can I do? So I could play a pretty decent 4-point France card, but that can certainly be countered. My cards do not look terribly useful to me, to tell you the truth. These are kind of painful. Well, certainly I could throw my uncoordinated attack, get a couple of moves, and then if I like the results, I could do something there. I could do a 4-point play or a 3-point play over here. Say in Poland, well, no, I need to do the military transport, and then my cards no longer work together the right way. It's not too bad. All right. We're going to do a coordinated attack, and we're going to cancel that immediately. Is it worth canceling? Probably. It's usually worth preventing your opponent from doing whatever he wants to do. I'm going to drop a military transport, and I'll push myself into England. I'm going to play my remaining cards, which give me a quick 4 points. I can pair because it's a mercenary card. Remember, they're like wild cards. And now I get a new hand. And unfortunately, I'm going to need to pause just because I can't go straight through on this. I'm not sure how interesting this is to watch. It's basically a card game happening. Like I said, minimalist CDG. It will end. I know it looks like it's, you know, kind of balanced, but look at this sucker. That's right there. This becomes a real threat. Red's going to have to deal with that. Yeah, why don't we keep going a little longer? So, Red's got a real problem in Great Britain. I need to be able to block Great Britain. That's not terrible, though. I've got France that I can deal with. So, I only have 1 France card. I don't have the amount of power that I'd like to have there to move it. I'm going to move it 3 spaces. And then for my second play, what about this revolution? See, this revolution allows you to knock a secured marker, like this one, out of its position. That's a very powerful card. So, rebel forces, this allows you to counter a special action, so I could prevent the revolution if it was happening against me. But I'm going to play a special forces. It's blue, I'm in France, so it doesn't hurt me. And then I'm going to throw my mercenaries in. Now realize, those extra points that I threw, they don't really hurt me. What am I saying? So, I played 1 card for a bonus point. Now this next one I'm playing with the conjunction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I only need 4 points here. I'll keep a powerful mercenary in my hand. I don't think they have anything that can block this. I don't see anything. Just these coordinated. Coordinated assault is a little different. Advance up to 3 unsecured markers, 1 space each. This cannot be blocked. And I can block this can prevent any coordinated action of either type. So it's a more powerful version. So what did I do? I just spent 4. I've locked France in. Now, here's a question. I got this sucker. I don't really need this sucker. He's a 2-point card. That's not terrible. I could get worse than that. But he'd be penalized if I'm going to be in a blue area. I'm going to play this military transport to move my dude. I'm just going to move there. That's probably where I'm going to go anyway. And now I'm doing that really just to burn the card. I get 2 more cards. Very valuable gadget research. These are really cool if you put them out early because they give you this additional bonus. So here you're able to do a free move as though I have the military transport at any point I want. And here you're able to increase your hand size by 1 card. But you can only have 1 of each of them for the entire game. Blockade, name a country. That control marker cannot be moved until the end of your next turn. You got a lot of these little, one-off type prevent the other guy from doing something during his turn or whatever cards. Now I get to move. And I have no particular desire to move, although I want to challenge him right where he is, to block whatever he's doing, to prevent him from getting it in here. All right, now I'm going to take my little break.